What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's a pleasure to have you on another edition of the Dirty and Driven Podcast. My name is James Deviney. I am your host, and this is the show where our goal is to gain, train, and retain people in the blue-collar industry. To put it bluntly, we want to bring people to the blue-collar world, teach them how to kick ass. That's our goal here. We got two show types here. If you're new, we've had so many new listeners lately. It's unreal, and I'm just so grateful for all of you guys. Just want to say welcome to all of you. This is a Tuesday episode. This is where me and my boy, the maintenance man, the meat, the talent, Sling Blade, Billy Bob Thornton, talk about whatever we want to. And then we usually dive into a topic of some sort. Today, we're going to be talking about how Casey got screwed out of $75,000, but we're not there yet. Then we have our Friday episodes where it's usually a guest or two or whatever. We're just going to keep talking to them and usually try to bring some value to your lives, or in the case of our most recent Friday episode, zero value to your lives. But guys, just keep supporting the show. I really appreciate it. There's been so many of you who on Instagram and who've just been hitting us up and really just expressing your support, and I appreciate that. I really do. It means the world to us. It really gives us encouragement. We're so excited. We got some good things coming. We're really growing the show, and I also just want to say, if you're new here or if you've been listening for a while, man, if you want to be a guest on the show, hit us up. We're kind of just open to anybody who's got a passion for the trades and the blue-collar world. But, yeah, hit us up. We'll entertain the idea. I do ask, though, if you hit us up and ask to be a guest, don't just respond and say, hey, I want to be a guest on the show. And then I say, cool, man, let's do it. And then you never respond to me. Just, at least respond to me so we can set it up. But anyways, follow us on social media at Dirty and Driven on pretty much all your favorite platforms. Check out our YouTube. Now all of our episodes are being uploaded to YouTube. They're not on video format yet, but they are up there. The most recent ones are, and then I'm going back and adding all the old ones. So if that's how you consume podcasts, that's on there now. And other than that, guys, welcome to the show. Casey D, what's up, man?
How are you?
Dude, this is our first time recording in the new studio room, and the last time we're recording on this equipment. So that's pretty exciting. We got a whole shipment of stuff coming in this afternoon. Top of the line, high-tech, expensive equipment that's really going to up our production value. We have been talking about a studio for a while, and we have the room. Right now, we're just basically in this room. We've got two old desks pushed together. So right now, we're just in the room. We still got to decorate it and put some foam up and all that fun soundproofing stuff. And then we're going to have a really cool laid-back studio for us and for any guests that may join us. So I don't know about you, man, but I'm excited.
Two old desks and some microphones.
Two old desks and some microphones.
Wasn't that a Beck song?
I had two old desks and some microphones. Cut it.
Two turntables and a microphone. You ever heard that song?
Oh.
You didn't get my Beck reference?
Well, I thought that you were just talking about...
I'm not talking about Jeff Beck, the guitarist.
No, I was thinking of the song, In a Time of Chimpanzees, I was a monkey, butane in my brain.
Yeah, that's the same guy.
Yeah, no, I know it's the same guy. His lyrics make zero sense.
Yeah. I think that's the same song.
It probably is.
Because then it goes to the chorus, two turntables and a microphone. In a land of chimpanzees, I was a...
My favorite verse of that, or my favorite line of that song is, "Get crazy with the cheese whiz."
You ever gotten crazy with the cheese whiz?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
For a while, whenever I was in like middle school, dude, I went to some conference, youth conference or something, and there was a guy there talking. He goes, man, dude, for a while my lifestyle was this. He was kind of talking about how he, used to have a real unsustainable lifestyle because he was a speaker and he was always touring on the road. And he goes, man, my everyday thing was I'd buy a 2 liter of Mountain Dew and just stick a straw in it, and I would drink that of Diet Mountain Dew, and I'd drink that throughout the day. And then he said, my snack of choice is I would buy pretzels and cover them in Cheese Whiz. And his point was like, I used to do that, but, I learned that ain't it. Well, all my middle school brain heard was pretzels and Cheese Whiz. And I was like, oh, yeah, man. So I went and I had my mom buy me a can of Cheese Whiz and pretzels. And I used to eat a lot of Cheese Whiz.
Yeah, I've never done the pretzels, though. I always did the pretzels and Ritz, or Ritz and Cheese Whiz.
Yeah, that's good, too.
Oh, yeah.
I liked it with the pretzels. Although the only thing with the pretzels, you kind of got to be careful because obviously it could fall off pretty easy. But
then when you start doing that route, then you get into the Vienna sausages.
See, I never got into Vienna sausages.
Dude, I do.
I love Spam. I can eat the crap out of Spam, but I've just never liked the Vienna sausage.
Believe it or not, processed, I about did it. But they're a good source of protein, sodium.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not knocking them. I just never have liked them.
So I like having ammo cans for storage.
Yeah.
For a lot of things. Ooh, dude, I just right there. I just caught myself. Instead of saying the 2 words, I use something different.
Casey and I have a behind the scenes challenge of a word that we say a lot.
I've already got the count on it. You've done it one time.
Done it one time.
Yeah. It's the or whatever count, guys. All right, it's out in the open.
It's out in the bag. We're working on our speech skills, voice skills.
Let's address that real quick before we get any farther. Or whatever it's a great filler to encompass
a lot of things.
A vast things. So if you say something and you're not 100% correct, the or whatever takes care of the difference that makes it 100%. Mm-hmm. Well, you did it, but I said or whatever. So it could be a wide range of things.
Well, to me, I'm glad that we're doing it because it's kind of lazy, in my opinion. You start talking about a thought, and then you get wrapped up, and then you just cut it off there instead of actually completing your full thought.
Yes.
It's
a filler. It's a fill instead of the you-knows.
Yeah.
The ums.
Yeah. We're really bad at this whole podcasting thing because we tell you guys all of our flaws, which is cool, but then you listen to it and you're like, man, that is annoying. That's just us, man.
I'd rather be transparent.
Yeah.
Because
I'd rather be transparent than transgendered.
Yeah. Because if you're transparent, my opinion, you're relatable.
Yeah.
Someone listening, if I'm listening to somebody and if somebody's talking and they act like they're holier than thou and they don't make mistakes and everything is edited out perfect to where it's just clean, crisp, flawless. I'm more relatable to somebody who kicks ass, but then also shows the downsides and I'm not saying like really puts a spotlight on it, but at least lets it be known. Because one thing I've learned with this podcasting, for one, I enjoy it, but listening back, I'm my own worst critic. And listening back and hearing dude, there's another or whatever. Mm-hmm. Dude, I've said it at least 15 times this podcast. And I've really started to clean up my speech talking because I'm aware of the or whatevers or the ums or the buts.
Yeah.
You knows.
Yeah, and I don't like editing things out. So I was actually talking to my buddy who he has a pretty big podcast, and he was saying that his first few episodes, he started his podcast. He was a co-host of another big podcast, then he started his own. And his first few episodes, he kind of got caught up in that whole like perfect, clean, crisp, don't show any of the things, real polished. And then his fifth one, he kind of was just getting bored of what he was doing with the first 4, and he just said, you know what, screw it. And he did it less prim, proper. He didn't edit all the crap out, and it actually did 10 times better than his first 4 it really took off. And this is a guy who knew what he was doing when he started.
Right.
But yeah, I don't edit much out. The only times I really edit anything out is if we take a break or if somebody specifically says, hey, I kind of mentioned that, but I would prefer if that actually didn't go out to the public. That's the only time. But we don't do much editing here.
I tried to have you edit out one or two things that I said, and you kept it in. And I mentioned it twice, and you're like, nah, dude. No, it's not that bad, dude. All right.
That's what I say. I try to talk people out of it. Like one time, my friend told a really good story about how his dad accidentally pinned him against the wall with a forklift because he didn't see him. I mean, it was absolutely hilarious. And
that's horrible, man.
Yeah, but I mean, he was okay, and it was just a whole thing. And I mean, yeah, it's terrifying, it's scary.
But a forklift,
it could have killed him.
It's an immovable object with the counterweights on the back and the forks on the. It doesn't give, but your body and everything else will.
Yeah, it was a bad deal. He was young at the time, and his dad, didn't see him, kind of thing, and it was a bad deal. But I mean, looking back 10 years later, it's a funny story, right?
Oh yeah.
As scary and stupid as it is, it's still a funny story to tell, and I think that's really the only big story I've told or edited out because he went and then after he got done he was telling his dad about the podcast. Oh, what you talking? Oh, we were talking about and his dad was the one that was like, man, I really don't want that getting out. He goes, he said, I don't want people hearing it, which I about told him like, your dad ain't gonna listen to the show. It'll be fine. But I mean, I respected it. I respect people if they say that, or every now and then someone will drop a name that they come back later and say, I maybe don't want to name drop that person or whatever. I don't think they'd appreciate that. And so that's the only time I edit things out. I don't like editing things out. As I say, it is a real no filter podcast. Okay. The people I have on are real blue collar people. That is what I love about the blue collar people is they don't hold back. Okay. They're real people. They talk in a real way. They tell jokes in a real way. They say things how it is. They're down-to-earth people. They're not your, big corporate office business people who are trying to pursue this persona that I'm so perfect and great. They're, yeah, dude, I'm fucked up and I love it type thing.
I think the most recent one that you did with those Zach Bryan band.
The Zach Bryan band, yeah.
But that was a perfect example of
we call those two John Daly and Channing Tatum.
But those guys, listen to them talk. That's the way. That's the way we talk. That's the way. If you're on a construction site,
exactly,
or wherever, you see that I didn't say
wherever.
That's the way you bust balls. You cuss. Stuff might be dirty, but that's it. Mm-hmm. That's the way you talk.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear that.
Yeah, and I like that. And I want guests to come in here. There's a lot of construction podcasts out there, too, that say, oh, yeah, you can cuss. You don't have to edit things out. But it's still just so prim and proper. The guys are cussing, but they're not talking about, oh, yeah, dude, when I was in Vegas driving around with this crazy cab driver that offered me Molly. You don't get that on that stuff. And that's what I want to capture because, I mean, especially the crew that I work around, man, they're just so funny. And I want to capture that because that's the industry. And I want whether you're the next generation or you're a parent listening, I want people to hear that and say, dang, dude, I can have fun at work with these people. Because that is the mentality of most of these blue collar guys is, yeah, what we do is hard. It's long hours. It's hard work. But it would be miserable if we didn't have fun with it. Right. We got to have fun while we're out here. And that was something somebody told me day one. He goes, whenever my first day on a paving crew, I walked up and I was introducing myself to everybody. And this one guy, he goes, my name is Chief Big Peen of the Slapaho tribe. And and that was right off the bat.
Right.
And then, another guy, and then he goes, this is our foreman. His initials are DH. We just call him Dickhead. That was my first two introductions to anybody on site. And it was just set the tone, and it was, I love these guys. This is fun. And that's what I try to capture on this podcast best I can. Want to, anyways. And I sometimes get guests that come on, and then afterwards they go, we didn't tell me I could be dirty and I could be wild. And I always tell them, no filter. Be who you are. And so if you've been a guest on and you want another shot and you want to be wild and dirty and you felt like you were being tame, then hit me up. We'll give you another round. Or if you're a future guest, then just know that we want you to be yourself here.
I guess it depends on the image that you want to portray.
What do you want to put out to the public?
Yeah.
And I get that. I mean, it makes sense. Also, just while we're on this topic, if you drive through Oklahoma, especially northern Oklahoma, if you're coming from Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, hit me up, man. I had someone, I was talking to him on Instagram, talking to you, John. He goes, he said, yeah, I drove through Oklahoma a couple weeks ago, and we passed the sign for Ponca City, and he said, man, I told my wife I listened to a podcast from there. Man, hit me up. I'll come meet you at the freaking gas station if you ain't got time, but I'd love to just meet you, put a face to the name, and shake your hand. Or if you want to spend 20 minutes getting off the highway and come eat or come get on the podcast, hit me up, man. Hit us up. We want to talk to you. We want to meet you guys. I'm going to try and get out. Hopefully, me and Casey both are going to try and get out and do some road tripping later in the year. Got a couple trips that I'd like to hit, so yeah, maybe we'll be coming to a state near you. But that being said, once we get our new equipment, hopefully next week we'll have everything set up. Then, actually, I'm not even gonna say hopefully. Next week we'll have everything set up, and we're gonna start getting some in-person guests. Already got a lot lined up, so we'd like to do more in person. Just audio quality's better, and it's more fun to do these podcasts in person. So we'd love to have you. And if you're pulling through town, let me know. Or driving down I-35, let me know.
Gang, gang.
Gang, gang. Switching topics a little bit. We were listening to some music, hardcore, jamming out before we hopped on the pod, man. It's been a pretty decent ride for rock music this week. You listen to, Nickelback came out with a new album. Do you like Nickelback?
Yeah, I like them. I'm not a hater.
You're not on the bandwagon of hating?
Nah, dude. A lot of times when people throw out hate, it's because you're kicking ass doing something right.
Well, and honestly, my whole theory behind the Nickelback hate is they were probably starting to dip in popularity. And if I'm their manager, I'm saying, all right, everybody hates Nickelback now.
Yeah.
Let's start that campaign, because you see Nickelback on Facebook or Instagram, the social media platforms all the time, and people are hating on them. But what are they really doing? They're advertising.
Yeah, like we talked about, if people are quiet and there's crickets, you're not doing your job. Mm-hmm. You want them either cheering or booing you.
Yeah.
Perfect example of what you just talked about. You ever heard of a guy named Brian Bosworth?
Yeah.
Number 44.
The Boz.
Probably one of the best linebackers to ever go through at least college.
Yeah, I've always wanted to get one of his shirts, the National Communists Against Athletes shirts.
So, yeah, dude, I remember that. He was it was whenever he got, I think, busted for roids and he couldn't play. So he was standing on the sidelines down in Norman back when they had turf. And he had the NCAA on his shirt, National Communists Against Athletes.
Yeah, because his whole claim was, I'm not on roids.
Yeah, whatever. Or whatever. But, so, he was obviously real flamboyant, had the Boz kind of mohawk and always would put colors in the side of his hair and shade. But he was a badass too, man.
Yeah.
Not only a mohawk, but it was long in the back, bleached his hair. Dude, there's some cool stories here. Have you ever read the book? I don't really read books, but The Bootlegger's Boy. It's Barry Switzer's, it might be his autobiography.
Oh, no kidding.
But it's got dude.
Oh, I'll check that out.
So he tells, I just got chills. He tells stories from the 70s and 80s when he was head football coach at OU. Mm-hmm. Certain things that he would do.
I'm going to get into that.
Yeah, it's a picture of him on the front. He's kind of on the sidelines in his Sooners blazer with 3 or 4 national championship rings on his hands, clapping. But he tells stories on there, and one of the stories he talks about is how they recruited Brian Bosworth. And the Boz is from Texas, and they talk about it to where whenever he went down to recruit Bosworth, keep in mind, OU is a badass. He's already got 2 or 3 national championships from the 70s. Barry Switzer does.
Yeah.
They're recruiting hard and heavy for Brian Bosworth. It's like Texas and Oklahoma and a bunch of others. Barry Switzer and his crew, while they're recruiting him, they walk into his high school cafeteria. This is lunchtime while everyone's eating. Barry Switzer walks in wearing a full-length mink coat. And he walks in with his crew, and he says, Boz, where's Boz at? Where's Boz at? You want one of these, Boz? And he holds his hand up in the air and shows one of his championship rings. Where's Boz at? And that was one of the vivid stories.
So he knew how flamboyant Bosworth was, and he said, I'm going to speak this guy's language.
Something.
That's
but,
wild.
Yeah. I mean, that there's a lot to be said about making a scene like that.
Meeting somebody on their level. Well, I mean, obviously Bosworth likes to make scenes, so.
Yeah, I think he said something about Bosworth had a quote about, I was born in Texas and they slapped me on the back of the neck and I'll always be an Oklahoma redneck. He did some, although I was born in Texas, the doctor slapped me and caused my neck to get red. So, but with the Boz, okay. So going back to what you were saying about Nickelback, check this out.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Boz. So Boz was so good at marketing himself. Mm-hmm. Brian Bosworth. Everybody was getting their hair cut that way. Well, he went into the pros, and the big pro deal was pretty much Boz against Bo Jackson, which Bo Jackson's probably the best athlete to ever step foot in this world. Mm-hmm. I mean, just
he's a legend,
amazing stud. Well, so Boz, you either liked him or you hated him, right? Mm-hmm. So while he is out, he had all of his Boz shirts, Boz #1, this or that. Well, I think when he went to play against the Denver Broncos, it might have been. Next thing you know, there's these shirts out that pretty much say "fuck Boz," Brian Bosworth's a piece of shit, and then there was a big Brian Bosworth hate going on, mm-hmm. and these shirts were selling like hotcakes. So you had pro Bosworth and you had fuck Bosworth,
and he owned them all, didn't he?
And he was the one that went and marketed himself against himself. He got both ends of it.
Yeah, I watched the Elvis movie recently, and they were talking about that. They were going through all the merch. He was in his new, what does he call his house in Memphis? Dreamland
Graceland.
Graceland. Yeah. They were in Graceland, and they were unboxing all this merch, and I love Elvis buttons for mom, and this picture and that, and then she opens a box. She goes, I hate Elvis, and everybody got quiet and turned around. She goes, what is this? And the Colonel looks at her, and he goes, honey, don't you get it? Not everybody's gonna love your little baby boy. We might as well profit on it.
Perfect, man.
Yeah, but I think that's what Nickelback did. But anyways, their new album, not bad. It's the only thing I will buy into on the Nickelback hate is a lot of their songs sound the same. Like it's just kind of very
but
similar.
They're good rock songs though.
They are. I mean, it's
because I've seen them with Steel Panther. You ever heard of Steel Panther?
Yeah. I don't know any of their songs, but yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, they were on America's Got Talent the other day.
Were they?
Yeah, it was amazing because if you know Steel Panther's music, it's very X-rated.
I was gonna say, isn't it like real heavy kind of?
Yeah, so they're the lead singer. I can't remember his name. He was in a David Lee Roth cover band, and he could sing better than David Lee. He has got probably the best vocals out there.
Really?
Yeah, Sands. But dude, I can't remember his damn name. Michael Starr is his stage name, right? Well, I don't even know where the hell I'm going with this. But no, so Steel Panther gets on America's Got Talent, and I'm like, holy crap, they're on there. Well, this is smart marketing on their part. They've already, because they tour all over. They're an 80s tribute.
Were they trying to compete?
I don't know. That's a good one. But they're an 80s tribute band. They get all glammed out with the foo-foo hair.
I think they actually came here to Ponca a couple years ago.
I don't know if they came to Ponca, but they've been to Oklahoma City, Wichita, Tulsa, and we've seen them probably 3 times now.
I swear they came to the Poncan Theater one time.
They might have, but
recently. That's where I was gonna say I've heard that name Steel Panther, and I remember. I think that's what it was. I think they came here.
But dude, they're super talented musicians, and the crowd work that they do in between, not only when they're playing, but in between songs, they'll kind of, BS a little bit and work the crowd. And just the way that they play the crowd is amazing. With that being said, 80s tribute band, but X-rated band. And I couldn't believe that they were getting on America's Got Talent. Well, they came out with She's Got the Eyes of a Panther. It's just a pretty good just rock song, just a good 80s rock song. And Satchel, the lead guitarist, man, he can rip on the guitar. But they kicked ass. The crowd loved it. And anyway, they moved through to the next round. But I don't know if not, it's just a good marketing deal for them.
Oh, yeah.
But if they make it all the way through, then that's
they get
even
their
better.
Vegas show or whatever. It's kind of cool, though.
Oh.
They are on the their tour is called the Res Erections Tour.
Yeah.
Golly. No, the other album that came out, just because we talk about music so much, I thought I'd hit it, is are you a Foo Fighters fan?
Yeah.
I like the Foo Fighters. They came out with a new album.
I haven't been. I'm not a huge fan. Nothing against them. But yeah, they're.
I'm not in the cult. Like, I love the Foo Fighters. I love Dave Grohl as a musician. It is one of my favorite live acts I've seen. They don't have any gimmicks. It's just they're up there playing music, and you can tell that they are in it.
Yeah.
There's 3 bands I've seen like that. Really 2. I mean, the first time I saw Guns N' Roses after their reunion tour, they had a few that, they had the big screens and stuff like that. They had a little gimmicky stuff, but they didn't have a lot of pyrotechnics and fire and confetti and all that good stuff. They just were playing and rocking out, and you could tell that they just loved being there because it was like the second stop on their reunion tour, and it was so fun to watch them. And they just were up there playing music, and I saw Metallica, and it was like that. Metallica didn't even hardly have any lights, dude. They just were on the stage in the middle of the arena. It was a tiny stage, and they just were like, it looked like they were high schoolers that were playing their first gig and were just stoked to be there. It was so fun. The Foo Fighters were like that too. It was as if they were playing their first or last show ever. They just were so excited. And so I like the Foo Fighters. I don't like all their songs. I hated their weird death metal album they did. Their satanic weird thing. It was a weird deal, but no, their new album pretty good.
Yeah,
I was listening to it on the way here.
That Dave Grohl is talented. I saw,
He's just so freaking entertaining.
Yeah. And plus, see, Dave Grohl is hooked up with Tenacious D a ton.
Really?
He's helped them record their albums. Oh, yeah. He plays the devil in The Greatest Song in the World. It's either that or...
Was he the drummer for him, or...?
He probably laid down the drums on the recordings, I would assume. But, yeah, if you look at videos of the making of Tenacious D, either the old HBO videos...
Yeah.
Or... If you look at any videos, Dave Grohl's always got a hand in it.
Really?
Oh, dude, yeah, he's super tight with Jack Black and Kyle Gass.
Dude, he's a guy that if I could ever just sit down and talk to Dave Grohl, his book, I think I did it on audio. It's so good. Like, if you can just listen to it, just the stories he tells, and it's him reading it, and he just tells all his stories from, he toured in like this speed metal band, and that's where he learned how to play the drums, called Scream. That was his first band. And then he toured in this, and then after that, he was just kind of homeless in California. And, that's where he met Kurt Cobain, and they were living together, and he would sleep on Kurt's couch, and Kurt Cobain had this turtle that stunk and was super loud and would keep him up all night. And then from there, they kind of got the whole Nirvana thing going, and it just talked about that kind of progression and how they went literally from being nobodies to the biggest band in the world in like a couple months' time. And then it talks about kind of the Foo Fighters. But, dude, his story's unreal. I mean, they're just so cool to listen to. It's called The Storyteller, I think is what the name of the book was.
Yeah,
anyways.
that'd be interesting.
It's if you can get it on audiobook, I'd recommend it. I mean, I would read the book regular, but it's just something about... I like listening to books like that the people are actually reading it because you can really feel what they're feeling.
Right.
Like, I listened to Elton John's book, but it wasn't Elton John actually reading it, and it was still good to listen to, but I would have probably rather read that one. And then like I listened to and I usually read books, but audiobooks are fun sometimes. But like I listened to Matt McConaughey's book, and it's him reading it.
All right.
You know, he just hit it. He green light. It's good. Those are all awesome books. Matt McConaughey, whenever he was younger, he used to steal pipe. Like his dad.
He didn't lay pipe. He just stole it.
Well, so they would go. He talked about how his dad was. I think he was a pipe salesman. Like he sold, like metal pipe. One day his dad goes, "Son, you want to go roll some pipe?" Which meant go to take a flatbed truck to somebody else's yard and steal their pipe. And then his brother started working for the competitor's company and then actually worked his way up to be a higher up salesman at that company than his dad was. And his dad told his brother, you know, if you're really going to be my son, his dad got drunk and would tell him that if you're really going to be my son, then you're going to go with me and you're going to roll pipe from this company's yard. And that's why, like, after his brother had become a big time manager there or whatever, he said, I'm not doing it. You know, talked about how him and his brother and his dad getting like a knockdown, drag out fist fight. It's fun to listen to.
I like it. I like a lot of stuff about him, except for that he's a Texas Longhorns supporter.
Yeah, same.
Upside down horns.
But yeah. So anyways, if you are into music or books, audiobooks, there you go. A lot of listening pleasure that we're talking about. If you like things that are easy on the ears, yeah. Foo Fighters album, great. Nickelback's, it's decent. I mean, it's Nickelback. It sounds like a lot of their other stuff.
I don't think you'll find a lot of blue-collar people admitting that they're big Nickelback fans, though.
Bullshit.
My opinion.
Really?
Yeah, it's almost like drinking Bud Light.
Dude, I'm sorry. Play Rockstar. Play
that,
Rockstar or, what's...
I like the remake of...
Or Burn It to the Ground.
Friday Night's All Right for a Fight.
Yeah.
So
play Rockstar, Burn It to the Ground. Everybody's gonna, they're gonna sing along.
An Animal,
yeah.
But that Friday Night's All Right for a Fight. Have you heard it when he did it with Kid Rock?
I don't know that I have.
Oh, you talking about a badass song, man?
Yeah, I like that song. I guess I've never heard that.
It's awesome.
Yeah, dude. If I could choose one celebrity to get on this podcast, who would you choose? Curious, who's your one?
Dude, I never thought about that. Living.
Yeah. Like if we could call somebody up and say, "Hey man, we got this blue collar podcast. We think you'd be great on it." Who would you call up?
Well, if it's blue collar, Micro, 100%.
Okay.
Just
that's fair.
Because he's just man crush or not. He's so talented. His voice work. He was originally an actor, an aspiring actor. He did a lot of stage stuff. And then, I mean, his voice, whether it's The Deadliest Catch or anything that he's put his voice on is amazing. But also, he's on Fox a lot as one of their regulars. Can't remember what the word is. But, dude, he is so articulate. And you talk about walking the walk on getting people in the trades business, the Micro Foundation. And all that, he's just a stud, man.
Yeah, he is.
So
I would love to have him on.
And his personality is, I mean, I got a man crush on him. His personality is kick ass too. Mm-hmm. So when you see, he's got this new show called Somebody's Got to Do It, and a lot of it's put out on YouTube. I don't know where you can tune into it, but it's usually a 20 or 30-minute show where he goes to. It's not like dirty. It's kind of like Dirty Jobs, but it's a different. Someone's got to do this job.
Yeah, kind of like the hidden, unknown kind of jobs of the world.
So, but when he's going and doing these jobs, that they don't polish it up either. They show the true side of the boom hitting him in the head, or in his person. It all is transparent when you're watching it.
That's cool.
But what I'm getting at is his personality comes through. He just seems like he's just a kick-ass dude.
Yeah, I'd love to have him on. If anybody has Micro connections, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, but blue collar, kind of what we're doing, what we're talking. I think he'd.
I mean, obviously workforce development. Yeah, he'd be my number one.
Yeah.
But I just mean in general, Just like saying, hey, we think that, our listeners would like this person. Like, if I had Katy Perry on this podcast, that'd be a little, like, it wouldn't fit.
It'd be tough to focus.
Sure, I'd love to talk to Katy Perry. I would love to talk to anybody who's achieved high levels of success.
My eyes are up here.
Yeah. She doesn't have your killer good looks.
Yeah.
But honestly, though, if I could get like one person on this podcast, like if I could just sit down and say, all right, we're drinking beer, we're recording a podcast, Kid Rock.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
yeah,
that is like,
yeah.
if I could get Kid Rock on this podcast, I would do it any day.
So yeah, Kid Rock, John Daly, Aaron Lewis, they're all kind of in the same field, but they all speak the real man language.
Well, yeah, they're no filter.
But see, that's what.
But see, Kid Rock, what I like about him is, and obviously with Ticketmaster and all that bull crap, his old thing before all the Ticketmaster stuff was, I want the working man, the blue collar man, to be able to come to my show and afford it. Yeah. That's my people, and I want them to be able to. He said they can afford $30-$40 for a ticket. They can't afford $500 for a ticket.
Have you been to his concerts?
Yeah, I've seen him twice.
Yeah, I've seen him
front row, baby.
I haven't been front row, but god damn, dude, you talking about?
He's fun.
Probably the best rock show. I haven't been to a ton, but I can't imagine them being more badass than that.
I've seen him in 2 smaller areas, like a casino, and real intimate kind of crowd. And dude, he's fun, and it's just you can just tell he cares. I mean, he's got his ego, and I think he overplays the ego. I think that's kind of his persona, but I think really when it comes down to it, he's pretty just down to earth, real dude.
Well, of course he is.
He's a no bullshit guy.
But when this can kind of get back to what money does to what money can do for you or does to you. When you have fuck you money, where you're not a slave to a corporation or the New World Order or all of Hollywood that has to push this narrative or that. Here goes one of my rants. But when you're not a slave to that, you're self-made. Your money is not affected, and you can legitimately speak your mind and not give a fuck about what people think. That's where people like Kid Rock, I guarantee you, Hollywood, a lot of those people that really, if they didn't have to worry about their LeBron James's money in China, they would probably be more like that guy, I would think.
Yeah, you'd think. You'd hope.
You would think. But some people have the... they live in their bubbles.
My mom has a friend. She lives in Michigan. They have a house on Lake Michigan. I guess Kid Rock lives nearby where or I don't know which one of the Great Lakes. I think it's Lake Michigan, but and I guess Kid Rock will be cruising around. He's got a purple Lamborghini that says Kid Rock on the license plate, and he'll go cruising around in that thing. I think it's something like purple and leopard themed Lamborghini. And I was like, dude, that is just badass. Pimping.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if it's being uncancelable, right? It's saying this is who I am.
That's it. And yeah. And although I interrupted you, which I'm good at that.
Yeah. What's your point? You make it.
No, but yeah, when you're uncancelable, and a lot of times people, when they get to that status, the more hate that they get from the left, the stronger they get from the right, or that it boosts their product even more.
Well, it's one of the important things, and I'm actually working on I'm working on a program right now that I'm kind of using to market to some of the companies that we're starting to work with, and that's basically one of the things is, and we talked about core values last week, but it's basically one of the points that I want to make is stand up for what you believe in. Stick to your guns, stand up for, if you want your brand to be, hey, this is what I believe in, good old American values, and we should have our guns, we should have that, and you want to weigh in on that stuff, that's cool, man, but stick to it. Don't start doing it, and then whenever you get a little opposition from one side, oh, man, I can't believe you support guns. Look at this school shooting that just happened. Or, oh, man, I can't believe you support this. You're a bigot, a racist, a homophobe. Stick to your guns and just say, this is what I believe. And if you want to support me, then great. If not, then don't. But the dollar, we vote with our dollars. Okay. That is how we as Americans and the world votes. And if you have a brand and you want to push this persona of whatever you're trying to portray, Kid Rock is trying to portray, I'm, Johnny America, Yosemite Sam, I party, I drink beer, I fuck bitches type of thing. That's his thing. And you vote with your dollar, you vote with your ears, you listen to his music, you buy his merch, you go to his concerts, or you don't.
Well, I don't think he's trying to portray. I mean, I think that is him.
I think it is too.
That's him.
But he's saying, I'm going to be myself, and I don't really care. And that's what happens to a lot of celebrities is they lose themselves. And that's why a lot of them end up killing themselves. Because it becomes that whole, oh, well, we own you, we own your music, we own this, you're part of our title company, or our, is that what, I don't know what they call our title company, I guess. You're part of our system, so you have to do this or else we're going to drop you. You're not going to be signed by us anymore. And a lot of people, it's like, do you know Tommy Vex? The lead singer of Bad Wolves?
No.
Okay, so he went on this whole thing. He was the lead singer of Bad Wolves, and whenever they started requiring, like Ticketmaster would say, you have to be vaccinated to go to a concert, or a lot of arenas started requiring that. Tommy Vex said, no, I'm not doing that. They had a title company that was trying to make them push an agenda, and Tommy Vex said, I'm not going to be a part of that. And Bad Wolves voted him out of the band. Well, Bad Wolves got a new lead singer, and they started sucking, and they kicked him out. He started making more money than he'd ever made in his life because he started doing everything independent. And he said, I'm going to be who I want to be. I am going to stick to my values and what I believe in and fight for what I think is right. And he ended up making way more money because he stuck to his guns, whereas his band caved to we're getting a lot of pressure to do this or act like this, and they ended up going down the toilet. And I think they're maybe going to get back together soon or something. I don't know, but I think I heard a rumor about that. But I'm not a huge Bad Wolves fan, but I like Tommy Vex. But
I hadn't even heard of Bad Wolves. I'm sorry.
Really? They did the cover of Zombie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was them.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
They tried to make it up to date with their drones and their... Yeah, it's like, come on, man.
It's a good cover, though. I mean, that's the only thing that changed. I like that version better than the original.
Oh, man.
I mean, I like the Cranberries original, but, man, I love that heavy metal version.
Yeah.
That's cool. But anyways, man, so...
Hey, hold on a sec. So when you're talking about that, them not doing the concerts because they were requiring vaccination, did you hear about Jamie Foxx?
No.
You know Jamie Foxx, right?
Motherfucker Jones.
Yeah. Amazingly talented actor, musician. He's just comedian, just a bad dude, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's been sick for over, I could make up a number, over a year and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why his sickness and all of his doctors and everybody said was he was required, he couldn't continue filming on set until he got vaccinated. He pushed against it, and they said no. So they finally forced him to get it immediately after he got the vaccination. It screwed with his body. He's got a ton of different ailments, but he's blind. I know he's blind. He can't communicate. He can't talk. He can't speak. All this crap after he got the shot. And it's so bad now to where I think he can maybe communicate either by just barely moving his lips or his hand.
No kidding.
Dude, it's it's all been I don't want to use the word oppressed, but it's all been hush, shame, shamed, because this is pretty much 100% guaranteed it was because he got the vaccination, right? Mm-hmm. But since he's probably one of the biggest actors currently right now, the biggest stars, you don't want that getting out that the vaccination that was forced on everybody affected the Hollywood, bigwig. Oh, it's sad, dude. It's sad, man.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, so I mean, I hear what you're saying on that. It's terrible, but that's a depressing topic, and that's one we're not going to get into right now.
Well, no, but this is as of yesterday or the day before, they even came out with even more news about him.
So it's real recent. Okay.
Well, he's been sick for a while, known because of this issue, but he has not gotten better. And this is a guy that has probably all the money and all the access in the world for treatment, and he's in that situation.
Yeah, that sucks.
So,
interesting. But yeah.
But on a happy note.
So, totally changing gears. I don't know. I like talking about music on this show. I don't know if people actually care to listen to it, but music actor. I like talking about those types of people.
The best music out there is Turnpike Troubadours. That's it. I got it in there.
Dude, if you don't listen to Turnpike Troubadours, then you're missing out.
The best.
Yeah. If you're going to the lake, if you're wanting to laugh, if you want to cry, dude, I don't know. I love them. Their music is great. They're finally getting mainstream. You know, like just a few years ago, I saw them at the Criterion in Oklahoma City, and I saw them at Calf Fry, you know, big venues, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 people, but not like massive, you know, 15, 20, 50,000 people arenas. Now they're playing those big arenas, and that's cool, man. I think it's cool to see that because they're so, which I mean, Red Dirt music, Americano, or that kind of music.
Yeah.
It's kind of getting more popular.
Red Dirt, Americano, and even Texas country.
Well, it's
although I bet
those are the same name for.
Yeah,
but
I read a book. That's one thing Texas has. It's good that Turnpike Troubadours are reigned from Oklahoma, but that's one thing that Texas has is badass music. When you're driving through Dallas or all throughout, you can pretty much find 3, 4, 5, or 6 stations nonstop, just good Texas country or red dirt, just Americana.
I read a book. It said you can tell where people are from. If they're from Oklahoma, it's red dirt music. If they're from Texas, it's Texas country music. If they're from Arkansas, it's Texarkana music. If it's from kind of anywhere else, it's like Americano music. It's kind of funny to hear the different regions.
Yeah.
But Turnpike, check them out if you don't know who they are. That's a song of our people. The people of Oklahoma.
Yeah. But I'll give it to Texas on that.
Start with Good Lord Glory and just go from there.
Yeah.
That's great music. If you're going to the lake, listen to Long Hot Summer Day. Great lake song.
I really started listening to that song.
7 and 7 is like, if I hear that song, I have to crack a beer.
You know, there's a baseball player for the Cardinals. His name's Matt Carpenter.
Yeah.
And his walk-up song was Long Hot Summer Day.
Yeah, he's a Stillwater boy.
Yeah, I don't know if it still is, but is he?
I don't think he still plays anymore.
Does he? Or does he not? Mm-mm. No, you're thinking of Matt Holliday, dude.
Oh, you're right.
Damn, son. I'm going to have to piss test you. Are you sure you ain't
Dude,
on drugs?
I don't follow baseball.
Hey, I know we're under time, but I got to tell you something. I have real world feedback on Bud Light sales.
Okay.
Real world as of yesterday.
Okay.
So I went and played golf with my buddy and his dad. So we go in. We already had some Coors Lights with us. You know, don't
in case he put on his red thong and drank his blue can.
Yeah, don't tell the course that we already had a few Coors Lights that we snuck in on us. But we end up going to buy Coors Lights there, and they have the 16-ounce wide mouth aluminum bottles,
silver bullets.
Yeah, they got those. So they had the United Way golf tournament yesterday, where there's hundreds and hundreds of people and vendors and all of that there.
Were you playing in that, or were you just hanging out?
No, we were just after it. Once it was finished up, we got a tea time. They had United Way there, so their beer sales were through the roof. Well, we go to the fridge where they stock the beer, and lo and behold, no shit, the Bud Lights were still stocked all the way to the edge, and there was even Bud Light below, but all the Coors Light, Yinglings, all that stuff were gone. I was like, well, maybe they just restocked it. So I took a picture of it too. So I go up to the guy who we pay to get the beers, and I said, hey man, I just got a question. Here, just curious, how many Bud Lights have you sold today? Because remember, this is a huge golf tournament with a ton of money, big fundraiser, vendors, and then us yahoos after the fact. How many Bud Lights have you sold? You know how many he sold?
5.
0.
Not one, huh?
He sold 0 the whole day during this huge event. And then he goes, I can't keep Coors Light in stock, the Yuengling and the Michelob Ultra. I can't keep up. I had to order more and more. I have sold 0. This is at the end of the day when there's a lot of foot traffic.
What about Budweiser?
I didn't ask him Budweiser.
Because Michelob Ultra is still Anheuser-Busch.
Well, let's not do.
I'm just saying.
Let's not do technicalities. What I'm saying is,
that's interesting.
The Bud Light, that is unfathomable.
That's crazy.
I mean, granted, that's just one spot, but just imagine everywhere else.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, and that is interesting. Yeah, I just didn't know you can hear that train coming. That's the only thing about our new studio is you can.
I love it.
I love it too. It's real, man. We got a train right next to us. It's kind of like the old Blues Brothers. How often does the train go by? So often you won't even notice it.
That's perfect.
Trains and motorcycles come by a lot. Although I don't know if we'll hear the motorcycles quite as loud since we're on the second story now. But anyways, so Casey was telling me he told me a brief story that he wanted to talk about. So now that we're an hour in, we'll get to our topic. I always say Tuesday episodes are going to be around an hour, but I lie. So, sorry. We just like to talk. But one thing in the construction world that I've learned, and this is relevant if you're a business owner, if you're an employee going to work for somebody, if you have a side hustle and you want to do jobs for people, get something in writing, okay? Whenever I was in college, I took a construction law class. One of the few classes that I took in college that was really helpful and relevant to me was construction law. And the number one thing we learned, our teacher beat this into our heads, was document or die. And if you're in the construction world, if you work for any sort of company that does bigger jobs, especially jobs for governments or big corporations, people that there's a lot of red tape, you already know document or die. I mean, you've got contracts, you've got subcontracts, you've got requests for informations, RFIs if you're unfamiliar, submittals. Everything's got to be documented. But where a lot of people screw up is whenever they're working for a residential person, or if they're doing a business deal with somebody they know, a handshake deal with a family member or with just somebody that you think you know. You've got to have a contract, something in writing, an agreement. It's really important to document stuff. Now, you can overkill it, sure. I don't know if you can overkill it. I mean, sometimes you can do more than necessary, but that's still covering you. And also, something that goes hand in hand with this is really be picky about who you actually do business with. Make sure you can trust them and make sure they're good for it. But, you know, they say, well, the art of a handshake agreement is lost. People used to do businesses on handshakes all the time. And, yeah, that was great back then when you could do that. But the reason that they stopped doing handshake agreements is because too many people took advantage of that. And I even do personally. I have done business with family. I have done things that involve money changing hands with family members. I've even done it with my parents, and we have a contract. Like, I've got a current business deal that I've been working with my dad, and we have a contract. And you know, at first he said, we don't need to make a contract, you know, this, that, the other, you know, you're my son, I'm not going to screw you over. But sometimes it's good just to say, you know, a year from now, he's going to say, well, how come you only, you know, pay this much whenever you should be doing this much? It's good to have things in writing just because people are forgetful. Even though it's a handshake deal, people remember things differently, and I can go on a bunch of stories like it. But Casey had a story that he wanted to talk about. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, of you getting screwed out of $75,000.
Yeah. Yeah,
I got that number right, didn't I? 75.
Yeah. Lesson learned the hard way. Communicating, you can't, like you're saying, you can't over communicate. Right. Also, you can't over communicate on anything, but contractually wise. But I mean, text, email, phone call, voice recording. You can't over communicate. With that being said, probably about 10 years ago, my wife and I got a chunk of money. Well, during this in process of getting a chunk of money, her foster parents were they were big time in our lives. Kind of just before, but when they whenever they found out that we were getting a ton of money, we were really hanging out a lot. And that's cool, but I genuinely like them. Great people, at least the facade that they put on, right?
Wow.
So during this time, he was an RV salesman, and I think he works for Camping World now. But during this time, he knew all about the sales ends, but his pitch was he wanted to open up his own RV business in Enid, Oklahoma. I can say his name. I don't give a shit. He wanted to open up his RV business, but in order to do that, the bank wanted to have some, I don't know if it was earnest money or what, but a
down payment.
Yeah, pretty much a down payment that they could put in escrow, like that they could hold here to show that this is good. This is good effort. And then he could end up getting the loan to start doing the concrete and the development of this property so he could start his own RV sales business, right? Mm-hmm. So during this time, this money that we had, this chunk of money that we had was pretty much all the money that we had. But we were under the understanding that, hey, once this money, it's going to go into earnest, it's going to be right here, accessible at any time. Mm-hmm. But then future-wise, business-wise, once his business gets going, we could start getting a percentage of the business. This was all verbal. Mm-hmm. It was just all verbal.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we loved them. We trusted them because, it's all good. So, literally, I got the receipt, cashier's check made out to them. Then they take it, and so we go about our business, pay our bills. We're living life. Well, 8 months, 12 months go by, and how's the development going over there in Enid? Well, we've had a few hang-ups during this time. They're building almost $1 million home, right? Yeah, they've got jack through their family, but they've got jack through fuckery also, screwing people over like they're getting ready to do to us. So they're building this house. It's almost finished, but it just so happens they got contractors that need to get paid, and the contractors start pulling up because they're not finishing doing the trim work because they're still waiting for the money that they were promised. And all this stuff's kind of coming to a head. We didn't know any of this stuff was going on at the time that we gave over $75K.
You didn't know they were building that house?
No, we knew the house was being built. It looked like life was going good for them. Financials wise, we didn't know that they were shit in the meat axe, right? Mm-hmm. So we give this money over to them, and we know it's in a good spot because it's put in the bank. It's earnest, it's accessible. Well, come to find out, year and a half later, we're starting to kind of talk less and less with them, but we start getting a little froggy, like, dude, what's going on? Well, we had a hold up, the bank's waiting to this, and they're kind of, okay, well, just then we started finding out that the house isn't getting finished because they're owing contractors money. Well, if they're owing contractors money, then kind of starting to worry about, if our money is easily accessible, so we finally reached out to them one day and said, hey, you know what? We want to just go ahead and just get that money back because, it's the right thing to, it's our money. Well, there's an issue there. What do you mean that? Well, it just so happened, and I can't even remember what the hell the excuse was. Kicker is the money was gone. Who knows if it was even put in a bank? We were just so oblivious, dumb. What I'm saying is we were so trusting with family.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they played the holier than thou role. Christians, God is great. God will figure things out. We love God. We're going to church, churchy. We are just one of who knows how many other people they did this to, okay? And what I'm getting at is, once this happens, we start getting on ODCR.com, Oklahoma court records, on-demand court records, where you can look up anybody. So we start surfing around looking up them. Come to find out, not only them, but their whole family, their last name's Walker, by the way. Their whole family, y'all can look them up, I don't give a shit. Their whole family has probably been doing this fuckery since the early 2000s. So they go 3 or 4 years of robbing Peter to pay Paul, doing these little schemes. Then they file it's either chapter 11 or chapter 7 bankruptcy, to where I think you could still keep your assets, or they would take their assets. We found out they were taking their assets, putting it in their child's names or different locations, to where whenever it came time for filing bankruptcy, they couldn't go after any assets because they had zero name to it.
So they knew the system.
They knew the system. And then they ended up moving to North Carolina. They're back in Oklahoma now. And now they're living at, I guarantee you, almost $1 million home down in Oklahoma City. They have never once, I think they might have said maybe sorry one time. They never have once have made just a decent effort to reach out and say, dude, we made a mistake. Sorry we did this to you. We want to make it right, even if it's only $1,000 a month or whatever, right? And it's very hurtful because these people during a tough time in my wife's life when she was young, they had brought her in and they raised her for a small amount of time. Then we reconnected whenever my wife and I married. We reconnected with them, and we considered them family. Had them over our house, go out to the lake, hang out at the lake.
You're close with them and
super close, and then they do that shit to you, man.
Dude,
they do that to it's
some people just have mental issues, and
that's
why debt is a bad thing. I mean that's why it's bad to owe people money, because then, especially if you don't really know how to manage that money, which it sounds like they don't know how to manage their money, so they get this money and then they start owing all this debt, and then they realize they take on too much debt, and then but they learn the system and they start just screwing people over.
Yeah, when
and dude, I'm sorry, but losing a family member it's like last week's show. You were going on about like the whole, would you kill your dog for $5 million thing? I'm sorry, but money is not worth that crap. It's not worth screwing over your foster daughter who you're tight with for $75,000.
I have such a guilty conscience. For one, like my buddy told me, and I still never owe anybody anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see there'd be times that maybe you need help, right?
Yeah.
But I always try to, and not that I want you to owe me, but not that I'm a one-upper, but it's always good that you're always not being the one that's owing somebody, mm-hmm. right? Not that they owe you, but it's always good to be in the other side of that position.
Yeah.
And if I owe somebody money, if you loan me money, or sir, I mean, if I got and you help me out, I would be guilty, man. Shit, dude, I got to get James back, dude. It would eat at me. Let alone $75,000 and a family, friendship.
I will never not pay somebody something I owe. That's something I've always told people is, like, even whenever I was a little kid and I said, oh yeah, can I borrow $3 to buy some popcorn at the concession stand, or that I will never run around in circles. If I owe somebody money, because they covered me. Now, like, you have your buddies that they buy you lunch this time, you buy it next time, that kind of stuff. But, I mean, truly owe someone money because they covered me, I forgot my wallet, and they bought $100 grocery. It's like, dude, I'm Venmoing them right now.
Yeah.
Or they buy, I buy something from someone, they gave it to me, and I keep, I didn't have cash on me, but they said, yeah, just get me later. It is a point for me to pay that off now.
Yeah, and if somebody does work for you too, man, and it comes time to pay. There's nothing. It's tough when you're asking for, hey, can you get? It'd be good. Write that check, or it just bam, bam,
yeah.
Bam.
That's what I try to do, and I always say, like whenever I do my real estate financials, every month I do it, and that's my favorite part. I love paying the people who work for me, like you, our boy Randy, my friend Cam, guys that do maintenance, or they do my heat and air, or they might mow the lawns. It's always, give me that invoice now, because I want to pay you. I want to pay you quickly. Or my cleaning lady. I like to pay people pretty promptly, not drag it out. Now, there's times like my cleaning lady that cleans my Airbnb houses. It's not that I forget about her, but it's like we just won't even talk. It's just like automatic. She does such a good job. And then it's like, a month and a half goes by. It's like, hey, can you pay me? Oh, shoot. Yeah, sorry. And I pay her immediately. And I can't stand owing people money. And it's like, I've got some private loans that I had to take to get my real estate, because a lot of people don't want to lend when I bought my first house, I was 23, people don't want to lend a 23, 24, 25-year-old a whole bunch of money. So I'd take some private loans to get some of the houses we have. We've got 6 now. And, when you take those loans out, you're taking on a little more debt, but I won't be late on them. Yes, they're people that are close to me that I know. I was very picky about who I'm going to borrow money from, because I don't want to get screwed over. And I wrote a contract with them still yet. It was, I'm not going to do a handshake deal, even though they said, hey, a contract's not necessary. I just want everybody to remember, and I want there to be an agreement. And should it come down to, hey, you're not holding up your end of the bargain, it's, yeah, look at this contract. I am holding up my end of the bargain. You signed it and you agreed to it. Yeah. So
it's good for both parties too.
It is.
Even if you're the debtor, or on the other side. At least you both know where you stand.
Yeah.
And as time goes on, our minds, our memories get lapsed. And
yeah. And I've done little small businesses with friends before, and I've had friends that have hit me up and been, oh, dude, we should start this business together. We should get into this. You know, oh, man, I'd love to be a partner and get more real estate with you. But I'm so picky about who I do business with on anything, whether it's in my job where I'm selling asphalt and bidding jobs. I'm really picky about who we bid jobs to, and I'm picky about making sure they pay and the jobs we actually want to do, which is great. I think that's a great lesson in construction, is being able to say no to work and just saying, yeah, we're not, or if we are going to work for somebody that might screw us over, then this is how we need to handle it, and this is how they're going to have to pay us. Otherwise, we're not going to do the work. And also just getting everything in writing. We won't do a job without at least a signed proposal. You know, it might just be a one-page deal that says, hey, we're going to do a job. It's going to cost you this much. If we have to do extra work or this, that, it's, you know, going to be this. All designs have to be approved by the right authorities, code enforcement, whoever your local thing is. And after we finish the job, then you have this many days to accept the proposal at this price. And after you accept the job, you have 30 days to pay us. And here's the terms on payment. It's just a one-page deal, easy. It's got a price on it. It's got this is how you're going to pay us, and this is when you're going to pay us. And you sign it. Now we're covered.
Yeah, and if we would have done that, so we ended up, after that had happened, the money loss, we went to an attorney and kind of broke it down, and they were like, dude, you did. Yeah. There's nothing you can do. Because we were even asking them when we were trying to get our money, well, do you have, which bank, where? Well, do you have the bank statement to where it shows you deposited? Well, that's, never could produce anything. They just took that money and
they just ran.
Probably robbed us. But then, like I said, then they'd go into church and live the holier than thou lifestyle when they're not living it outside of there. It's just, it's gross, man.
I do not like those people like that. As a person who, you know, I am a Christian, and I will proudly proclaim that. Now, as I've said on the show before, do I always act like it? No. And I will gladly admit that. I have a clean conscience, though. I don't have any regrets in life. I have sought and asked for forgiveness from people that I've screwed over, and I have forgiven those who have screwed me over just as God has forgiven us, okay? And this is a little side rant, but I'm not going to preach at you very long. But I just do want to say that one thing, the first time I ever went to the church community that I'm a part of now, that was what they preached about, was there's a lot of people who don't want to join a church community. And I say church community, meaning the church building, because we, as a group of Christians, are called to be the church. I say church community because it is a building and it is a community of believers. I don't have to go to four walls every Sunday to be a Christian, but it is helpful to be around like-minded people. But anyways, the thing he preached on was the reason a lot of people don't want to go is because there are a lot of people that come on Sundays because it's routine, because it's habit, and they don't live that life outside of it, and they screw people over and stuff, and that deters people, and that's bad.
Yep.
Now, is it good that those people are going? Yes, but I think that that's also, like last week we talked about culture building and core values. The church community I'm part of has a strong culture, has strong core values, and they say, then they stand up, like we were talking earlier. They stand up, they say, this is what we believe in. It is straight from the Bible, and if you don't like that, then sorry, this is what we're going to preach. We're not going to bow to you because this is what's trendy or this or that. They don't shame people, okay? It's not like one of those Westboro churches or something, Westboro, Kansas, those real radical. But this is what we believe in, this is what we preach, and this is what we stand for. And they have a strong following of like-minded, good people in a strong culture. And it really weeds out the people like that because they challenge you, they push you, and they make you better. They encourage you to serve and give your time, money, efforts, whatever, to the greater cause and the mission. And whenever you don't have that, it becomes a poor habit. So that's I go to some old school churches that it's all old people now, and and it's just dead. It's a dying community, just like a lot of things. Just like you see in the construction industry, some of these companies that are all old men working, or just like some of these clubs you see around town that are all old men working because they haven't adapted and changed and shifted and set forth this is our mission and this is what we want to do, and we want driven people to do it. So that's a fine example of the things we talk about. But
well, I don't look at the church community, that little stain that they are. I don't look at the community as a whole being dipshits like them.
Yeah.
God dang it. I could not.
But a lot of people do.
Yeah, but my guilty I could not sleep at night if I did that too.
I couldn't either.
Dude, owing $5, I could sleep at night. Owing $50, yeah, I could go up the scale. But when it's a substantial amount of money in supposed family and friendship that you do that to.
But also,
their kids play with our kids. You know what I mean? Then just zip.
Mm-hmm. But also, the Bible is very clear about that. I just studied the book of Proverbs, which is the book of wisdom. And it spoke, and I said this on last week's show, it spoke greatly about if you obtain money basically from dirty ways of screwing people, it is going to catch up to you. It will not go unpunished.
Word.
What comes around goes around. You reap what you sow. Call it karma, call it divine energy, call it the law of the universe. I don't care what you believe in there. What you put into the world comes right back to you, and I think tenfold. If you put in goodness from a Christian view, if they say you can't outgive God, okay? If you give your time, your money to worthy causes, if you serve, if you give, that money comes right back to you, okay? I made a habit of donating money every single month to worthy organizations, and that money, it comes back in weird ways. It comes back to you. And if you screw people over and you steal and you lie, every time I have tried that whenever I was younger, selling something that maybe wasn't on Facebook, that maybe wasn't up to par, doing a half-ass job and charging a full-ass price, stuff like that always comes back to bite me. And if I, I'm to the point now that I'm so picky that if I'm somewhere, some people take a Gatorade out of a fridge at I don't know, Walmart, they'll forget to ring something up, or they'll ring up the barcode on the individual Gatorade bottle instead of the one for the 6-pack, and so they're only paying for one, but I scanned it. I can't even do that anymore because I've seen it in the weirdest ways where I've kind of wiggled around and tried to save $8. There was one time I did that at Walmart. I bought something and it only charged me for one item instead of a whole pack. And I was like, oh, yeah. So I was like, I'm in clean conscience. Well, the difference was $8 and 47 cents. Well, I had something break the next day. I can't remember what it was, a little plastic piece on my motorcycle or something weird. And I go to buy that part, and it was the exact amount of money that I had, quote unquote, kind of bended the rules at Walmart for. It was the exact amount. And I was like, okay, there's something to this.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's a different topic. But, well, not really. But if you screw people over, fuck you. Bluntly.
Yeah. I think whenever you're quoting your, I don't know if you call whatever, I don't know the book, but whenever you're quoting your one-liners that you read, that you study from your Christianity, mm-hmm. I think to liven it up, you need to have me in the background saying word.
Word.
You say something, thou shalt not this, do unto others, and I'll be like, word, kind of be like the Flavor Flav, the hype man. I think we can juice it up a little bit.
What we really need is a black preacher.
We can do it. I told you, Bishop Bullwinkle. I don't know if he's still
Bishop
around.
Bullwinkle.
That guy's awesome. You about ready to wrap this up?
Yeah, I just want to say, though, on that document or die thing, just to actually give you some technical real-world advice. If you are in those, and let's say you have a conversation, phone conversation, if you talk about this stuff in person, okay, still get something in writing, whether it be a text message or whether it be an email, or even if you just go and you take a yellow notepad. Legally, this stuff kind of works. So now it's harder to do it this way if you just have a yellow notepad and you say, well, I took these notes on these dates. That still can hold up in a court of law. You'll have to fight it, but it's at least something in writing of, hey, this is dated for this day, and they can they can back test it if it's big enough. They can test how old the ink is, stuff like that. I've read about businesses doing that. I read a really cool book called Wildcatters, actually, about this very thing, where it was a big oil company out of Fort Worth, and I can't remember their names now.
Yeah, he's the one that puts out the oil fires. Is that the guy?
No, they're an oil drilling company,
Oh.
and but a big one. Their name's slipping my mind right now, but great, cool book about, they basically, a competitor put out all these lies about them. The FBI came and raided their office, and they thought that they were or IRS, and they thought they were embezzling all this money, and they were but they didn't do anything wrong, and they proved their innocence. And there was times of like, well, I have business notes in my business journal from these dates, and they tested his journal, and they tested how old the ink was, and they were able to backtrack it. And also, if you are in like a restaurant and you're making a business deal, you can sketch it down on a napkin and have both people sign it. Again, it's not easy to prove, but it is at least like, if you went to a lawyer, like Casey was saying, you at least have something that says, yeah, we had this little paper agreement that we both signed, and they can at least take that and have something to use. Yeah. So just little things like that. But I mean, anymore, follow up with a text or an email. Just say, hey, just wanted to follow up with our meeting. This is what we discussed. This is what we said. If you see any discrepancies in what I said, then let me know. But this is what I got out of the meeting. This is the way I interpret it. And
so if you do something verbal where it's not in writing, if you do a verbal with you and me, shoot a text or an email, and I always say, per our conversation. Hey, per our conversation earlier, you mentioned that. I just want to make sure there's no gray areas. And then hopefully they respond, no, that's all good.
Yeah.
Bam. Then you got it.
So I had a girl that I was talking to the other day. She owns a business here in town, or owned a business. She's closing it because her landlord came in and she got mad. It's a hair salon and beauty salon. Yeah, we're almost done. Casey's tapping his watch. But it's a hair salon, beauty salon. Well, her landlord basically, no one really knows, think maybe early onset dementia, something weird, came in, and she was like 2 days late on her rent check because she was on vacation, and her landlord came in and started throwing shit around and like yelling at her, screaming at her, and like they'd never had issues before. And well, she said, okay, like she called the cops and told her to leave. And she came back and she goes, well, okay, I'm not going to rent from this lady anymore, because that was weird. That was crazy. And I'm just not willing to be a part of that. I don't want this person doing that again. And so she's closing down. Well, they met like after this whole thing, and the police carted this lady off. She said, okay, we're going to meet at this bar, and we're going to have this bartender there to kind of mediate. I want to meet in public so you don't blow up on me. They had a nice casual conversation. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to pay you for 2 more months rent, and I'm going to move everything out, figure out my stuff, figure out what I'm going to do. And okay, that's agreeable. That's great. Well, then the next day, this lady texts her. She didn't follow up with a text. They didn't sketch it on a napkin, nothing. Well, then the next day, the lady goes, well, you said that you were going to leave me all of your equipment, and you were going to do this, and you were going to pay me, you owe me $15,000. And the girl's like, whoa, that is not at all what we discussed. It's just, you don't know whenever somebody's crazy is what I'm getting at. So it's good to have that stuff as soon as possible after that conversation. Just say, this is what we agreed to. And if you think that person's crazy, get it on a piece of paper and have both parties sign it. Because even if you send an email the next day, this is what happened. That girl sent a text the next day, and the lady said, well, that's not what we talked about. So that's where you got to do that. But
I like the document or die, though. That's
die.
Good. That's good.
If you get nothing else from this episode, document or die. We've talked about a lot of things, but document or die. But yeah, anyways, Casey, you got any final thoughts?
Nope. Going to go home and burn a bunch of brush.
Yep.
I've been waiting, and since we've had quite a bit of rain and more on the way, it's a perfect time.
Beautiful day for it, too.
So,
God, it's nice out.
Yeah, let's hope that it doesn't get out of hand.
Hopefully.
I got a lot of brush.
See that picture that I posted the other day of the guy in the open cab dozer?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You don't want to be like him, sitting there putting out all that, because it catches all the grass on fire.
Yeah.
That was wild. That was funny, though. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. If you stuck with us, like I said, if you're new here, glad to have you. Glad you're here. This Tuesday episode went a little long, but oh well. Give us a 5-star review. We love you guys. And we'll catch you on the next episode.
By God.
By God.